They say honesty is the best policy. But what happens when your honesty hurts someone you care about? I learned that the hard way. My name is Kevin. I'm 16. My world is built on patterns, logic, and facts. I love the way city lights form grids at night, the predictable hum of my computer fan, the satisfying click of a perfectly solved Rubik's Cube. Things make sense. People are harder. They're like puzzles without edge pieces, full of confusing signals and unwritten rules. My best friend is Grace. She's the opposite of a predictable pattern. She's like a burst of sunlight, warm and bright and always shifting. She understands my need for quiet, my intense focus on my latest project. Right now, it's building a detailed miniature of our city block, and she never calls my interests weird. She just calls them Kevin things. One afternoon, we were in the school's art room after hours. It was our sanctuary, a place filled with the smell of clay and paint. Grace was on the other side of the large table, working on a painting. She'd been quiet for a while, which was unusual. Finally, she turned her canvas around. Cave. What do you think? It was a portrait of me. The background was a swirl of my favorite colors, deep blues and purples, like a galaxy. But the face, it wasn't right. The lines were too soft. The expression was a smile I don't think I've ever made. The eyes were hopeful. It didn't look like me. It looked like the version of me she saw. A version I didn't recognize. It's technically impressive, I started, choosing my words carefully. Your brushwork shows a significant improvement in blending techniques compared to your last piece. The color theory is sound. However, the facial proportions are slightly inaccurate, and the emotional representation doesn't align with my typical resting expression. Silence. The comfortable quiet was gone, replaced by something heavy and fragile. Grace's shoulders slumped. She slowly turned the painting back around to face her. Okay. Her voice was small. So small it almost got lost in the big, empty room. I didn't understand. I was being honest. I was giving her constructive feedback, just like we learned in art class. I pointed out the good things first, then the areas for improvement. That was the formula. Why did it feel like I had just broken something? She started cleaning her brushes, her movements precise and quiet. Too quiet. I went back to my model, but the tiny street lamp suddenly felt wrong in my hand. The perfect grid of the city block seemed meaningless. The logical sequence was broken. I gave an honest, factual analysis. The result was a feeling I couldn't categorize. It was a dissonant chord in the melody of our friendship. The next day, she wasn't at our usual table in the library during lunch. I found her near the tennis courts, sitting alone on a bench, sketching in her notebook. I walked over and sat beside her. She glanced at me for a second and continued sketching. She didn't look up again for the next couple of minutes, creating an awkward silence between us. Grace, I said. Hey, she mumbled, still drawing. Are you avoiding me? I asked. It was a direct question. I needed a direct answer. She finally looked up, and her eyes were puffy. Why would you say that? Because you're not in the library. And you seem displeased. I was trying to use the right words. I'd been reading a book on social cues. Displeased seemed appropriate. Displeased, she let out a short, humorless laugh. Kevin, you told me my painting was basically wrong. That it wasn't you. I poured everything into that. I thought you'd see what I see. I did see, I said, confused. I saw good brushwork and inaccurate proportions. No, she closed her notebook with a snap. You didn't see. You don't get it. Sometimes, it's not about facts. It's about feelings. I wasn't asking for a technical review. I was asking you, my friend, if you liked it. Feelings. They were the variable that always messed up the equation. How was I supposed to know she wasn't asking for a factual critique? Her question was, "What do you think?" I told her what I thought. So I was supposed to lie? I asked, genuinely trying to understand the logic. No. Not lie, she said, her voice filled with frustration. But you could have said something else. You could have said, "Wow, Grace, you painted me." Or, "Thanks, I love the colors you used." You could have focused on the why instead of the what. The why. I hadn't considered the why. Why had she painted me? She had used my favorite colors. She had tried to capture something she saw in me. The painting wasn't a technical exercise. It was a message. And I had completely missed it. I stood there, the noisy chatter of other students fading into the background. My mind raced, replaying the scene in the art room. I saw her hopeful expression, heard the smallness in her voice. The data points were all there. I just hadn't processed them correctly. My honesty hadn't been helpful. It had been a blunt instrument. It had hurt her. And that hurt me. The why, I said quietly, mostly to myself. You were trying to show me how you see me. Grace's expression softened a little. She nodded. Yeah. I see someone who's brilliant and focused, but who also has this whole universe inside him. That's what I was trying to paint. A universe inside me. No one had ever said anything like that to me before. The warmth of her words spread through my chest. It was a feeling that wasn't logical, but it was good. "I'm sorry," I said. The words felt new and heavy on my tongue. "I'm sorry I hurt your feelings." I didn't understand the question. Your painting, it was a gift. Not a project. A small smile touched her lips. It's okay. You're you, Kevin. I forget sometimes that you see the world differently. I'm trying to see it more like you do, I admitted. The feelings part. It's complex. We can work on it, she offered, opening her sketchbook again. We're a team, right? I looked at her, my best friend. The person who was willing to translate the confusing language of the world for me. The why of her painting was that she cared. And the why of our friendship was that we cared about each other, even when we didn't get it right. What do you think, I asked, pointing to her blank page, if we designed a better miniature city? One with a park in the middle, 4 people to just be. Her smile widened. I think that's a great idea, Cave. Honesty is a tool. I'm learning that you have to know how to use it. Sometimes it's for building things up with facts and precision. And other times, it's for gently telling someone you see the universe inside them, even if the proportions aren't technically perfect. If you've ever felt like you see the world differently, you're not alone. Remember to be kind to yourself and others.